Well, here we go. First match of the Ultimate Pool Pro Cup, Day 2. Australia's Jake McCartney comes forward. Say all the best to Arfan Dad, and he will break off in our opening match. Race to 7, a 40-minute match, 30 seconds on the shot clock. And we are underway. Joining me in the commentary box for this match is the 6 times world champion, Mick Hill, and we were just talking off air. Great match for us this morning to be commentating on.
Yeah, and a tricky match to try and predict, in all fairness. I think you could make a case for either player here. Fairly evenly matched on current form, you would say.
Yeah, Arfan's had a very, very good 2021, and Jake obviously winning an event with Ultimate Pool right at the start of the season.
Nice opening shot there from Jake. He's a tricky yellow, sorry, top right. Easy enough to pot, but not easy to get the cue ball out of there to his next yellow.
He's just having a look at it now, see what he can do with it.
There's a couple of ways that he can play. It depends on how he falls on it. Most players would play it with backspin, but I believe a better option here could be to play it with topspin and use the red ball and spin the cue ball side cushion, top cushion and round for the yellows. So I look to... Oh, I beg your pardon. He's playing the one top left.
He may have landed perfect on this one, that he can avoid the red.
He's played a very, very good shot there. From our camera angle, we didn't realise that yellow went, that he just played. So he can draw off the red now.
Had to be quite pinpoint with that shot, though. There wasn't much margin of error to leave himself that shot. He had to be precise, and he was.
The viewers at home, it looked like a routine shot. Believe me, it wasn't. It was a very, very well executed shot to land on it the way he did. It looks in good touch.
Brilliant start to the match for Jake McCartney. Break and clearance, and he is off and running. And it was a nice break. He left himself a good opportunity, but that good positional shot was the key to the frame. It didn't look a huge amount on the screen, but being precise made everything nice and simple.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the clearance there was a little bit trickier than what Jake actually made it look. He made it look a lot easier than what it actually was.
Yeah, I really like the way that Jake goes about the game. Very relaxed out there, just out there enjoying it, not allowing the pressure to get to him. Take a quick look at his profile coming over from Australia. Very dedicated, having to travel over and base himself in the Stoke area. You can see Pro Series 2 winner. Big, big title for Jake, and also 2016 World Team Champion with Australia. I think 9th in the rankings is a very solid season for Jake. Excellent start to his Ultimate Pool career. I was about to say it's Arfan's turn and he wants to respond. Well, he's going to have to sit back down, and Jake will get more table time because the cue ball flying in off gives Jake cue ball in hand anywhere behind the break line.
Yeah, and Arfan electing to cut break there, but actually cut breaking from the left-hand side of the table, or the right-hand side as we look. Sometimes right-handers actually tend to go the other side for the cut break, so he's tried something a little bit different there.
Why do you think that is with players wanting to pick one side over the other?
I think they just get a feel for the hit and get a feel for the just get a feel for the strike. I don't think there's anything necessary. I mean, sometimes halfway through a tournament, the players will come into the arena and have a little look at how the tables break in, and maybe try and emulate something that's working for someone else. I know that happens a lot in American pool, where they would come in and have a look at the way the balls are breaking and such. But
I think that also depends on they look at the referee that's racking it as well and try and take that on board. Really go into fine details.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it can be the difference between winning and losing matches at this level.
Now Jake's got some work to do here. 3 balls or 3 yellows and the 8 ball left, and 3 of them, well, all 4 of them are on the cushion. The one he's on now is comfortable enough.
Yeah, I think the first shot he played, he may have attempted to move the 8 ball, and didn't quite get it. But Jake could be such a good rail potter, particularly on our style of tables, because generally when you travel around Australia, the tables would be a fair bit tougher in terms of the rail potting. And Jake's, you know, one of the best that there is. So he wouldn't be intimidated by balls on rails.
And you can already see eyeing up the double on the 8 ball. Probably more because it's easier to get on the double than it is to get across for the one down the cushion.
Yeah, well, in this instance, you don't really want to kind of thump the yellow and not make it and not get a shot. So, as I've alluded to before, this table does double square, so no problems for Jake.
Yeah, excellent start from Jake McCartney. Continues 2-0 ahead. 2 clearances from the break. A break clearance followed by the reverse clearance, and all Arfan Dad has done so far is break, and he's had to sit and watch.
Yeah, going back to Jake's season, obviously had an amazing start by winning an event on his debut. In effect, it was event 2, but it was weekend 1, whichever way you want to look at it, and beating Shane in the final, which we didn't know at the time. Okay, he'd won 1, but we didn't know he was going to go on to have the season that he had. But tailed off a little bit during the middle part, and I was having a chat to him, and he did say to me that he was feeling a little bit nervous in matches, which was a little bit unlike him. He said he doesn't really kind of get that way, and I wonder if his expectations and everything after winning the event sort of changed things a little bit for him. But he's come out here really looking relaxed and really kind of with it, you know, really on it.
Yeah, there could well be something in that. Winning tournaments adds to the expectation, and expectation can often be a bad thing in sport. But he's going to hand the table over to Arfan Dad for the first time by screwing straight into the top right-hand corner pocket. Not the best break that Jake has ever hit. Important visit to the table, you feel. I know it's early in this match, but with Arfan losing the opening 2 frames and Jake looking like he's on it, Arfan now needs to just let Jake know he's in the match as well.
Absolutely. The key here looks to be the red and the yellow tied together next to the 8. Does that yellow pot bottom right? If it does, you know, you would you'd expect Arfan to get on the board here.
Very difficult to tell from camera angles, and I've been fooled many times, but I think it probably just about does, but it's tight.
With the cue ball being smaller than the object balls as well, in 8 ball pool, that makes that yellow ball more accessible than what it would if it was snooker, for example, with both balls the same size, the object ball and the cue ball. So, but the way he's looking suggests that he might want to be doing something with it. I think he would have got down and knocked these in by now. I mean, if that yellow does go bottom right, he's no work at all to do here, so it may suggest that it doesn't go.
He also hasn't come round to have a really good look at it, so it either doesn't go comfortably or it goes comfortably, one or the other.
I mean, he certainly could have played on it there. I think he's played on this. Yeah, I think he's played on that top right to try and move that. Which would then suggest that the first shot was slightly careless not to leave an angle on the second ball to come off the side cushion and into those 2 balls. It was fairly natural if he'd have left the angle.
Oh, that's a nice nudge, but the 8 ball's going to get in the way.
It goes to left centre. So he can come underneath the yellow and play it to the centre with the 8-ball blocking it to the corner.
Yeah, it may still go to the corner, but it's not a full pocket, so centre probably the better choice.
Find out when he's striking the ball. Okay, so he's going to play left centre after this shot. He's
Control.
played that. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, really nice to see.
Yeah.
So easy to let that shot go wrong, especially when you're first visit of the table. It's very glassy out there, very quick. And that is the response that Arfan Dad was looking for. A reverse clearance from Arfan this time. And Arfan is now up and running. Still 2-1 behind, but he is breaking off in frame 4.
What a standard.
Well, a great standard to start this match. All 3 frames off the break. And while the balls are being racked up, we take a quick look at Arfan's profile. Talking about his 21 season. And he's a new professional for 2022. This is the first event of 2022, but you can look at the achievements. The 2021 World Rules Pool Tour champion, also won a Joy Open finalist, or was a Joy Open finalist in 2019, and playing 9-ball as well, 5 times a GB9 Challenge Tour winner.
Yeah, plays a bit of Chinese 8-ball as well. We've been out to China together and plays very well at that game. Probably the most improved player I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years.
He's just the big difference for me. He's turned himself into a tournament winner now, winning some big events, and he's got the belief that comes with that any event he enters, he can now win.
Yeah, in a similar way to Shane Thompson in some respects. I think Shane Thompson was more established before he started winning, though. I think Arfan's propelled, as you say, from like a top amateur player to now a very good professional player, you know, in such a short space of time.
Well, his break continues to frustrate him. His second break without reward. And he's going to have to sit and watch Jake with another opportunity. You'd say this is, out of the 3 chances that Jake's had, this is the trickiest.
So he's got a cluster of 4 balls in the middle of the table. Does the bottom yellow go into the bottom right as we look? If it doesn't, he would be looking to leave an angle on the second yellow of the 2, the one that's above of the 2 yellows, to leave an angle to just develop those.
Hasn't left himself the best angle at the top of the table before he gets down to the work at the bottom yet.
I think he's good enough to come down, certainly for the one over the pocket. I think he can get out far enough for that. Yeah, so this is all down to this yellow now, because if the bottom yellow doesn't go, he can play the one bottom right and leave an angle on the yellow into the centre, the left centre, and just give those a little nudge. He's just looking now, see if it goes. It makes the world of difference here, in all fairness, if that goes or not. That says to me that went, because he was playing that with running side around the angles, and he's overhit that somewhat, and he's had a little bit of a result there, Jake.
The way he played that, he was playing on the one that we've been talking about, and he's overhit that quite considerably.
I think he's uncertain, isn't he? Can he play the? Can he get back across for it? Well, he didn't want to leave the can until last, that's a fact, so he'd be delighted if this goes. He's playing it like it...
It's tight.
From our camera angle, it looks like he can't hit enough of the yellow. It looks like he's overcutting the yellow, but we've been fooled before.
I'm not sure he knows. I think he's almost trying to convince himself that this goes.
Yeah, and he wants to play it with right-hand spin as well, which means he would be hitting the yellow thicker normally, which isn't no use to him here.
Yeah, hits the red. Convinced himself it did go, and it didn't.
Yeah, when he played the one bottom right, I think the better choice was to pull the cue ball back and play the yellow in the centre to make the cannon. Jake elected to run it around 3 rails to get the angle.
Yeah, and I think for me, with the cannon is because he had one over the right centre, he could play the cannon having the confidence of knowing he's got guaranteed next ball. Cannon probably felt the more controllable way.
Sometimes that can be a concentration thing where, have you made your mind up if it goes, or have you made your mind up that you're going to move it? And sometimes you can not do either.
Yeah, sometimes I guess you can convince yourself it goes, but actually if it's that tight that you have to try and almost talk yourself into it, then maybe it's better to find another way. So the first mistake in open play, and it is Jake McCartney hands the table over to Arfan Dad with a fairly comfortable layout just to respond and tie the scores up.
Right, now, there's a couple of ways he can play this, but I think the left-hand one of the 2 reds, top right, would be my choice. Because the one into the centre, the one he's nearest to, is a helping ball, as opposed to a ball that you want off the table. So there was no point in playing that there. And you see the way he's picked here, that red will become a helping ball because he's going to drop all these balls into the centre now. So it was a connecting the dots by using a ball as opposed to taking a ball off the table that you didn't really need to.
I always like patterns when they work them to be where you're just rolling them through and dropping them in or playing simple stun shots. And Arfan's managed to do that here with his final 4 shots. No mistakes with a simple 8 ball. A good response from Arfan Dad. We are all square. 25 minutes left on the clock. Quarter an hour through the match. Race to 7. So the match clock looks like it might come into play. But Arfan, it's strange actually the way the game can go because both players are, it's 2-2, but Arfan will be the happier of the 2 players because he's taken every opportunity that's come his way.
Yeah, and obviously that was he's been the counter puncher. Certainly in that rack with Jake obviously going first. But Jake's experienced enough to kind of go, look, it's 2 each. We've played 4 frames, so nothing to choose between them. And as we said at the start, we felt like it was going to go close, fairly evenly matched.
Yeah, nothing to change that already. No, Jake McCartney comes up for his 3rd break. Catches them okay, comes up dry.
Yeah, just on the replay there, if you notice, he was just a little bit quick from the top of the backswing to the cue ball, so he lost a little bit of power. So when he was addressing the ball, kind of at the very end on the top of the backswing, he was slightly quick on the pause of the transition, so he didn't quite get as much power as what he would have liked.
So it has given Arfan first opportunity in this frame. Reds is his choice. He has a couple of problems.
He would have liked the cue ball to have gone through another ball there because he wants to play the one into the centre and cannon into the awkward red. And now he's got to play this with force, and this is a very difficult shot now. If the cue ball runs through another turn, that becomes a natural angle to pot the red into the middle and play the cannon. And because of that, didn't even bother with it.
Just turns the table over. I don't mind that. sometimes you can chase a finish and
Absolutely.
get yourself into trouble, and then you make the game easy for your opponent.
I couldn't agree with you more. I see a lot of it. So Jake's going to just either tickle in or draw the cue ball back behind. Okay, yeah. He could have tickled in there, or he could have played the yellow into his yellow onto the side rail and drawed the cue ball in behind those two balls. Personal preference.
The only thing for me with the shot that Jake's played is now that Arfan can only see one red, and okay, it's a red that will open up the yellow if he moves it, but it also opens up the red. So if he can keep it tight off this shot.
Well, I think he could stick the cue ball onto the yellow here. I think he can play it full in the face and stick the cue ball if he wanted to. A little bit like that, yeah. I mean, he could have stuck it a little bit closer to the yellow, but
he wanted. I think he's taken the view that he wanted to get the red closer to the right
Jake's
side.
got a similar shot again here. So he plays the yellow on the side rail, pushes that down to the pocket, and draws the cue ball back into the back into the jaws of the pocket where he's at now. No, he's playing the attacking plant by the looks of it. This is a little bit do or die, that one. Yeah, this is a better choice of shot, Jake. Yeah. He doesn't want that in. That's a better choice of shot.
Yeah, he was tempted. You can tell he's got the very aggressive mindset.
And the thing is, it's hypercritical, but with Arfan playing the red how he did, he sort of pushed it too far to allow Jake to play that. If he plays it softly and nestles it on the yellow, the red doesn't bounce out as far, and Jake couldn't play that shot. I know it's kind of technical and forward thinking, but the Keith Brewers and the Darren Appletons and people like they're so tactically astute that they tended to be one shot ahead of you. You wouldn't be able to play that.
It's fascinating, really, to hear you say that, because you are right, and it's earned Jake an opportunity. I think if Arfan plays the shot the way you were talking about, where it would stop Jake being able to play the shot he did, Jake probably takes on the aggressive route, and Arfan would be happy with that.
Well, Jake would have had no shot because he would have been stuck up against the yellow.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I know we're talking fine margins, and it's certainly not been, criticising a player of Arfan's level, but, these little things at this level can make all the difference. They really can.
And it's a subtle change as well. It's just a slight change of mindset on that shot, but the execution wouldn't have been any more difficult. It has given Jake McCartney an opportunity to get himself back in front. All the yellows now have pockets.
Yeah, so I think he's going to play bottom left, depending on what angle he's got. Will he draw into the red here? Draw it into the 8, same principle. It's gone a little bit tricky with the 8 ball blocking the yellow certainly into the right centre. Is he playing centre or is he playing top left? He's playing centre. Yeah. I wonder if he could have played that and played with half a look at the yellow in the middle of the table, top right as well, kind of edged his bets a little bit. And again there, a look at Jake's potting ability down the rails. Knocked it in like it was a hanger, and it wasn't.
Right.
And Jake McCartney completes the job, so wins the tactical battle. And he gets himself back in front 3 frames to 2.
Yeah, so we had this situation here, and Arfan elected to develop the red ball and basically what I was suggesting was if he just bumps the red ball to the rail and just bounces it back out just a fraction, and then puts the cue ball kind of nestling onto the back. So he wanted the red ball to come off the top cushion and kind of land somewhere around like the brown spot, in effect, on a snooker table between the brown and green, if you can imagine. And so somewhere in here, and then the cue ball stick on the back of the yellow, and then Jake wouldn't have really had a shot to play. With playing what he's played, he's allowed Jake to play the yellow down the rail and then bring the cue ball back.
And it's a subtle change, but it's the difference between him getting the opportunity to win the frame and Jake getting the opportunity, and Jake's taken that opportunity and got himself a lead once again. Now, Arfan has changed his break. He's gone from the cut break to the front ball break. Wasn't successful with the cut break, and okay, it's not the biggest split in the world, not the best strike in the world, but he's importantly made a ball.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Arfan play yellows here. Okay, so he's playing the yellow into the centre by the looks of it. He doesn't want to stick on these reds here. No, managed to avoid them. Nice shot.
Yellow ball's in play.
Now, can he play onto the yellow into the left centre, or does he have to move it? Again, fine margins here, because if he can play the one right into the right centre to hold the cue ball for the left centre, I'd expect Arfan to be out here. That tells me that it doesn't, so he's going to play the one bottom left and draw the cue ball into the red and just pop the yellow out. Not too hard. Okay. Now does it go into the centre?
Yeah, if it doesn't go into the centre now, he's got a slight issue still.
I think it does, and he'll play it now if it does. Nicely played.
Yeah, all nicely worked out from Arfan Dad.
A couple of choices here. He can play top right and play off two cushions, or he can play top left and come out off one cushion. Depends how he sees it. He's elected to go with two cushions. Played it very nicely. Now I would suggest he plays both yellows into the same pocket here, so he doesn't leave the wrong angle on if he plays to the centre. So both balls into the same pocket is the percentage here.
Arfan agrees with you. Lovely breaking clearance from Arfan Dad. We're all square once again. There's a really good standard in this match. Both players playing at a nice level.
Yeah, superb standard. We've had very, very, very few mistakes.
It was excellent from Arfan. He picked a really nice way of opening up the one tricky ball he had on the table, and then very, very clean and clinical. And the way he worked around from there.
He played that very confidently.
And we're going into the second half of the match, edging towards the final 10 minutes, where we'll be at 15 seconds a shot. I think we've got 16 minutes left now. 16:54. And we still have no idea which way this match is going to go. Plenty of drama ahead, of course. We could end up with a 6-red shootout. If the clock runs down, whatever the score is when it runs down is the final score. And if it's tied, we will go to a 6-red shootout, where each player will attempt to clear 6 reds as quickly as possible, and the quickest time will go through. Excellent from Jake McCartney. We talked about his previous break, and you felt he just slightly had a bit of more of a quick one. This time he catches them so much cleaner.
fighting to get into the pockets.
Yeah, they were.
So
Be happy with this opportunity.
looks like the yellows purely because of the opening ball.
Extension called.
Calls for his extension, extra 15 seconds just to map out that route.
Okay, so he's electing. Is he just running, tickling the 8, is he? Yeah.
Yellow ball's in play.
It's worked out nicely.
Yeah, and we always talk about maybe not moving balls that already go and playing on them, but when you can play it in a percentage way where the outcome is pretty much guaranteed to be a positive one, then there's nothing wrong with maybe running into a ball that already goes if you feel like it's gonna help the pattern. But as a general rule, the idea would be not to move something if it already goes. But what I like about Jake's game is he plays with a lot of control, but he doesn't put all his eggs in one basket with his pattern. You see when he's left the yellow ball at the top. Now some players talk about clearing one end of the table and coming down and clearing the other end of the table. Now there is obviously a big case for that, and I understand the theory completely, but I really like this way as well, where he's left himself a kind of a get out ball, where he doesn't have to be as cute with his cue ball, but you're pretty much assured, with Jake that it'll be neat and tidy. I think he played that one for the left centre and he's overran it a fraction, so he could elect to play both yellows into the top left.
I think he's just off straight the wrong way. He'd love to be a little bit straighter or a little bit off straight the other way.
I think he can just dab it in though if he wanted to.
He's still going to go for the centre pocket, so the cue ball's going to travel a little bit more.
Has he lost the white a fraction? I wasn't a big lover of that choice, Simon, to be honest with you. I don't know if he was forced into it.
It did look like he was straight enough that he could just take it to the top left and almost hold the white where the yellow was.
And now he's got to be careful he doesn't clatter into this bottom red and scratch in the corner or some crazy things happen. He'd like to hit the 2 reds in the middle of the table, I'm sure.
He has hit that red. Is he going to have a shot? Yes, he is. Holds his hand up to apologise, but 8 ball for the frame and to go back in front.
It's there, it's there.
It just about wobbled in. Didn't cue that one as smoothly as we've seen from Jake McCartney, but he'll be happy. The smile on his face tells us that. Feel like he got away with one there, but he is back in front. This is the shot we were talking about. You felt he could just drop it into the corner and hold the white where the yellow was, and that would give him more control on his last yellow. Yeah,
again, as we've said, sometimes we can be teased by the camera angle a little bit. And I've seen a lot of Jake play over the last 10 years, predominantly on Australian tables, and the patterns are different. The style of play is a little bit different, and to erase that from his mind after playing that way for so long, isn't an easy thing to do. So there is going to be times where he may play a shot that could suit the Aussie table, if you like, as opposed to a Supreme. There's still 1 or 2 shots which he's still working out, and trying to get there and figure things out a little bit. He's doing an amazing job of it in such a short time, I must say.
Yeah, really hit the ground running when he's come over from Australia.
So Arfan sacked the cut break off, seen enough, and he's going head on.
Yeah, makes a ball, but not a good split.
I think the red into the middle or the plan, depending on what he's got. Okay.
Red ball's in play.
2 bad reds on the table.
Yeah, so what he's looking at here is he's looking at some point trying to get an angle on the top left to break into that red. He could play bottom right now and try and do something with the red next to the yellow and the 8. So bottom right, 2 cushions, and try and avoid the 8 if he can and hit the yellow, but beggars can't be choosers in this instance.
Extension call.
So he's just looking. He doesn't really want to hit the 8 because he doesn't know what he's going to get. But I feel like he's going to have to play this bottom right. And
you feel that with the 2 reds in the bottom that are in the open, hitting the 8 isn't the worst option in terms of you'd be on something.
Okay, he's elected to. I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's a messy table for reds, but it's also a messy table for yellows. So he's going to turn it over and see what Jake wants to do with it.
That's a fair choice of shot, in all truth.
Are those the sort of shots making those decisions? Is that, do you allow yourself to consider who you're playing when you're making that sort of shot?
I just think in modern day pool, because it's aggression first, I don't think we see enough of it. If I'm being brutally honest, I see at times I feel like players are going a bit gung ho because they feel like they're supposed to do that. Like, oh, these rules are really attacking and this is what we're supposed to do, but there still has to be some percentage merit to what you're trying to achieve. And that is down to not only your own level of ability, but also how you're feeling at that given time. Scoreboard, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors to take into consideration with shot selection, and I do truly believe that every now and again I do see, with all due respect, moments of madness. In that instance there, Arfan may have showed his hand just a little bit earlier because that yellow does go top left, the furthest one on our screen. So if Jake can pot this and do something with that cluster, or maybe the yellow goes. Here we go here. Yeah.
Excellent shot from Jake
It was an
McCartney.
excellent shot. I do think Arfan maybe showed his hand just a fraction earlier there. He had command of the table and played an aggressive safety shot that I'm not sure he had to play.
It's a completely different shot, but a similar idea to the shot that he played a couple of frames ago that gave Jake the opportunity. He was trying to open up his colour set, but in doing so, you're opening up the yellows at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Jake could have had a better result if I'm being honest there.
Called.
Sometimes you have to weigh up. Are you the one that's supposed to be the aggressor, or are you the defender?
That's
a super shot. Super shot. And I just think in that instance there, Arfan had got control of the safety battle and probably went a little bit more aggressive than what he had to.
That's not perfect from Jake this time. Gets a little nudge he didn't want.
Got to be a little bit careful here. He doesn't clatter into the 8. Oh, nicely played. That's a beautiful shot. Now, this is a little bit sticky because he wants enough angle to be able to punch out. Would he? He's going to draw all the way back here for the 8. But doesn't go bottom right.
Big shot coming up.
Nice. Beautiful. He doesn't struggle with those rail pots, does he, Jakey?
No, punches them in with confidence. And
that's
a brilliant finish on
That's a super finish.
It really
super
is.
Finish.
Right.
I don't want to be hypercritical there, and I'd only do it. Arfan's a good friend of mine, and maybe he'll look back at it. If there's one or two things that he could have done differently. But for me, he wasn't needed to be the aggressor there. He didn't need to play the shot that he played. That's not taking nothing away from Jake's clearance. That was superb, but.
Yeah, he asked the question of Jake McCartney there by opening up the table, but Jake answered it in emphatic style. That was by far and away the best visit to the table. It wasn't an easy finish, but the 2 frames, he's now 2 frames in front, and the 2 frames he's ahead essentially is come down to those 2 tactical battles that Arfan's opened up the table and Jake's cleared from it. Very small margins really at this level, but 5-3 with 8 minutes 24 left.
Jake McCartney to break, leading 5
And his
frames to 3.
break. Big advantage.
Hit them pretty good. Yeah, and the thing is, Simon, you know, I mean, all these guys can run tables, you know, they can all break and run racks. But the real kind of fine margins do tend to come in when the real cute pool playing side of things come in. You know, like you don't see them as much these days, particularly with all the rules being so attacking compared to what they were years ago. But let's just hold on a minute here. Wow.
Yeah, did not expect that. He played one to pot the other. It goes horribly wrong for Jake, and Arfan marches to the table. Really needs to get a frame on the board as this clock is starting to really run against him.
Yeah, concentration really there with Jake. He's feeling confident and kind of sort of give himself the shot, if you like.
Red ball's in play.
And you'd fancy Arfan from here.
Biggest thing for Arfan here is the pressure with the match clock ticking down. He really does need to get this one on the board.
Yeah, and he's slightly got to change his pattern here, because I think this was his second to last ball, dropping it into the middle. But he's okay. Played it nicely.
Making both helps.
I think he played to pot them both. I think that was a very, very smart shot. Didn't want to go back for it.
Once the work was done, quickly fires in the last couple of pots, cuts his gap to just 1. Still trails by 5 frames to 4, but he will break off in the next frame. And you say that could have been maybe a little bit of a lapse of concentration from Jake, but when he had the opportunity here, you know, if he makes that red, he's got the chance to go 3 clear with not much time on the clock. It's
that was the match there. That was basically the match right there. If Jake gets out from there, look, he's having a little talk to himself, like kind of stay in the zone here, stay in the moment, because he's obviously feeling great. He's knocking them in off the lampshades, and he's kind of probably give himself those reds there before actually knocking them in, and he's found himself in a match again now. Whereas at 6-3, with only 6 minutes left, it was probably over.
Yeah, the only thing I will say in Jake's defence is that we have gone into the 15 seconds a shot portion of the match, and sometimes you can feel a little bit rushed. Well, at 15 seconds you are going to be a little bit rushed out there, and can lead to the odd careless shot. But Arfan screws straight into the top left corner and gives Jake the chance to get back in front by a couple of frames.
Ouch.
That one will really hurt.
And in a strange sort of way, Jake doing what he did in the last rack will probably help him here, because he will bear down and he will make sure that he knocks these in, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it could not be laid out better for him. Absolutely perfect split for Jake McCartney.
Extension called.
So just wants to mind his work a little bit. I do think top right is the ball. Yeah, I felt like top right was the ball. Interesting choice if he plays this one though, because surely this is for the 8 ball. Okay.
I think that tells us that, well, he probably will still play for it into the middle pocket, but I thought he's comfortable enough if he doesn't get the angle he wants that he's going to play for it into the corner.
I think he's basically just decided, I'm just knocking these in. However they're going, I'm not going to overplay this or overthink this. I'm just going to knock these in. He's got to get there, though. He needs to get there. And he's way short.
Yeah, and if you go back to the position he had with that ball above the 8 ball, if that was there now, he'd be absolutely perfect. It was the connector to the 8. He's gone for the double, and he has not made it. That's a big, big moment in this match.
That's 2 big moments back to back, and where I thought he was going to bear down and make sure that he got out, I wonder if some of that rack wasn't from what happened from the previous rack. I bet Jake McCartney cannot believe he hasn't got out those last 2 racks.
Especially the second one there. They were just opened up absolutely perfectly for him. It was a surprise to see him go the way he went, but even so, even going the way he went,
well, in fairness, he kind of took a bit of a liberty, didn't he? Oh, here we go. What's happening here now?
Looks like Arfan's just played the snooker. No attempt to pot that ball.
Well,
if he did, I mean...
I'll have to ask him about that one later, because I'm sure he did.
Yeah, but it wasn't even close to reaching. But why wouldn't you place it? Why wouldn't you go for it in that situation? Everything was there for him.
Yeah, going back to Jake's situation, he kind of took liberties in taking the ball that was for the 8, thinking, well, it doesn't really matter. And it turned out that it did matter.
So watch the match clock. Keep an eye on that. 3 minutes and change. So plenty of time for Arfan to mop these up. 15 seconds a shot.
That's a poor shot as well. I'll tell you, the nerve ends are starting to kick in here. He had no need to play that shot that he played there. He had the world to land into.
Match clock or shot clock again going against him now.
Under the circumstances, that was a very good shot. Yeah, you can just see the old nerve ends going a little bit here, can't you? Look, here we go again here.
Yeah, overran the positional shot once again.
Or underran it, whichever way you want to argue. How do you like this textbook?
It's not the way he drew it up, that's for sure, but he'll just be happy if he can knock this one in and get things all square, which he has done. So we are all square with 1 minute 57, 56, 55 seconds left on the clock. Just under 2 minutes for one of these players to try and get themselves in front as the match clock runs down. If they don't, then, and we finish tied, it will be a 6-red shootout, which is, let's rack up 6 reds, and whichever player can pot them the quickest will go through. Lots can happen in the final 1 minute 55. It will be Jake McCartney to break, so he'll be hoping for another one of his big breaks, and he will want to have the opportunity. 1 minute 55 is enough time for a clearance.
Frame 11. Jake McCartney to break. 5 frames up.
And it's going to be Arfan Dad with the opportunity. Cue ball flies into the top right-hand corner. And what a turnaround this could be.
Wow.
Not the worst layout for him to go for.
Extension called.
I'm sure Jake would love them 2 racks over again.
Yeah, he could have been out of sight in this match.
So there's a little bit of work to do on either set, you'd have to say. He's got work to do here, but at least he knows that he can't lose the match. You know, if he runs another, say, 15 seconds, Arfan gets a chance to win the match. The best Jake can hope for is a shootout.
There's one bad ball, one bad yellow. I don't know whether the one at the bottom of the break line in the triangle area goes to the bottom right or bottom left.
I just wonder there if he was going to looking at playing the yellow in off the red to open the cluster, because I don't think the other yellow goes on the racking.
No,
in the
it
racking
looks
triangle.
very tight, doesn't
So
it?
unless he plays in off the red, off the red, how does he get out from here?
Well, it definitely doesn't go to the bottom right now.
Now he can come across and cannon it though. He's a great chance here. Oh, Arfan hit it. Hit the ball. Wow. If he plays that twice as hard, he hits the yellow and bumps it into play.
He's in trouble now.
This is shootout time, guys. He's got one last little dip at this. Hold on to your hats. It's there. It's there.
What a shot.
Wow.
What a shot from Arfan Dad.
Oh, my word.
And what a clearance. As the clock runs out, Arfan Dad makes an unbelievable clearance to get over the line. A match that really turned around. Arfan Dad was 2 frames behind, and Jake McCartney had the opportunities, didn't take them, and he has somehow managed to scrape over the line with 1 second left on the clock. Absolutely incredible from Arfan Dad.